Hey guys, Ashlane here, coming at you with some Town Hall 11 Mass Witch with level 3 witches, aka Hocus Pocus against Town Hall 10 accounts, villages. Now, I think the game will be taking a turn where you're gonna want to have your Town Hall 11s 3-star Town Hall 10s on a regular, consistent basis, and it seems like the easiest strategy to do so is just Mass Witch, using the new, very powerful level 3 witches. We'll see if maybe they nerf these bad boys, because they are very, very effective again for 3-starring attacks, even against 2 multi-inferno towers. Today we're going to start by discussing some strategy keys. Choosing the right army, knowing the number of witches to bring, anywhere from 6 to 9 is preferable in my preferences. Now, some people prefer up to 12, but I like bringing a little bit more golem and wizards to help complement the army. Distracting the mortars, obviously absolutely huge. 90% of the time you're going to be doing that with golems, making sure they're distracting them before you deploy the witches. When to use Rage Freeze and Grand Warden ability, we'll be talking about that through the next 3 replays that I bring you. And exceptions and other variables to consider, like what happens if there's a Lava Hound in the clan castle, how should that change when and where I use my freeze spells. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first raid here by Geo. From Red Elite, you can see a resource, a ring base. You can see the center compartment with the resources and storages all around the center, causing the golems to get distracted. These have always been particularly susceptible to Mass Witch attacks, but now with the level 3 witches, man, it's gonna go down pretty fast. So there is a Lava Hound in the clan castle, but Geo engages from the Lava Hound area. That actually is a smart idea, because it allows his wizards plenty of time to take down the Lava Hound. So he only has 1 free spell. He's going to be able to use that free spell on the second Inferno tower, the far side Inferno tower. So there's a lot to pay attention to here. On this raid, I want you to focus on 2 things. Focus on the witch and golem deployment area and the spread, and then focus on when he uses his freeze spell. You can see he totally ignores the first Inferno tower with the first freeze spell. That's because the first Inferno tower has a lot of targets, meaning that it has the golems to latch onto, hopefully one of the heroes to latch onto, as well as all the skeletons that are summoned by all the witches that have not been killed yet. None have died off. Now, the more critical freeze, or the only freeze in this case, is going to be on the far side Inferno tower. So that is a strategy key. Whenever possible, use your freeze, especially if you only have 1, on the far side Inferno tower, not the one you engage in. Now, there is an exception to that rule. I said we will be covering exceptions, and that is if there's a Lava Hound that you engage midway through the battle, meaning you don't attack like Geo into the clan castle. So you have to engage that Lava Hound right at the same time you're engaging that first Inferno tower. Then it might be a good idea to freeze the first Inferno tower as well. In those cases, if you're going to attack far side clan castle, you might need to bring 2 freeze spells. Now, this raid by Razorbacks is against another popular base design. And I'll tell you what, I don't think these base designs are going to be too popular going forward, especially to hold off Town Hall 11 attacks. And you can see Razor's just going to make a nice, like I said in the first replay, one thing to note on both of these attacks here is you just want to create a nice funnel for your witches before deploying them. Make sure, A, there's a nice funnel so they all stick together, and B, make sure that you have plenty of protection for them as far as distracting those mortars. You want to make sure that the mortars in the area where you deploy the troops are distracted by the golems. So in this case, the mortars in the corner were targeting the golems, and the witches had enough spread behind them where they were able to go ahead and not be a factor for the witches. So we get to the center of the base here. The Rage usually is dropped as the first spell. Between the freeze and the rage spells, obviously forgetting about the jump spells, that depends on where you engage the base. But the rage, I like to drop that just before I drop the first freeze spell. So that's my own preference, but think about it. On rage, not only are the witches summoning those skeletons faster once they go down, but they're also, all the skeletons are doing a plus 170% damage per second. That is really huge, so that can really help take down the first Inferno Tower when the attack gets more hairy in the center of the base there. Now the Grand Warden, we haven't talked too much about him yet. You can see Max Grand Warden in this attack, and boy was he powerful. A lot of troops still alive at the end, and the Grand Warden ability is something that we're still playing around with, the Eternal Tome. Obviously, the life aura is dramatically affecting these raids. These raids almost look too easy, and in fact they are easy, but a lot of that is the passive ability, the life aura of the Grand Warden. Now, it doesn't seem too dramatic because, let's face it, you're not toggling anything, there's no cool artwork, all it is a range around the Grand Warden, but he's helping keep all those skeletons alive just a little bit longer, and that actually dramatically affects the raid. So it's really important on these mass witch attacks to keep the Grand Warden along the same funnel, along the same line, the directional path, I should say, as the witches. So make sure you deploy your heroes all kind of clumped up at the same time as the witches, with enough spacing in between the golems and the heroes and the witches, so that way double or single giant bombs don't absolutely put a big speed bump in your raid by taking out all the witches. So very important to note there, spacing is huge. An Eternal Tome ability should be used as like an offensive freeze spell in a way, because what it does is it protects all your troops, gives them full invincibility against Inferno Towers being the main factor on these mass witch raids. So very important to use it almost like the same timing you would use a freeze spell. Now obviously this also protects against giant bombs, so a really savvy attacker can kind of use it as an emergency switch. If you see a giant bomb appear, you can and a bunch of witches are in that range, you can immediately protect them with the Eternal Tome, and that's another way to use the Grand Warden ability. So there's a lot of flexibility on the attacker's end, but more often than not, you're going to be using it as a more damage mitigation from the Inferno Towers, but sometimes you can use it in emergency situations as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this Mass Witch guide. As I said, it's going to be very important to have your Town Hall 11s jump, or I should say dip down in 3-star Town Hall 10s in the future, and this seems to be one of the more effective ways to do so. Thanks for watching, and take care, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. Just a few ways you can help the channel out. Number 1, like. Number 2, subscribe. And number 3, comment. Tell me what you think of the video. I really appreciate it, guys, and it really helps me out a lot. Also, you can find me on social media. I'm active every day on Twitter at @clash_with_ash, and on Bindle chat group #ClashWithAsh. And as always, you can find me on my website at www.clashwithash.com. Thanks, guys.